All right, three, two, one, starting. Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Moses Sampal, part of Mad About Growth. Mad About Growth is an invite-only community for sales, marketing, and strategy professionals. So we essentially started this as a phygital community because we don't want it to become yet another like a LinkedIn group or a WhatsApp group or a Telegram group where eventually you end up just receiving forward messages, right? So one way to kind of differ from that is having this invite only thing where right now people who are here in this live recording are part of our apprenticeship team, the first batch that we have taken. So what we do is as a community we are learning and practicing, right? So in learning piece is where this podcast also comes in, where people from the industry who have been there, done that, come and share their knowledge with us. And the other thing that we also do is, learn from research papers and the other formats that are available to us. So one thing is we have written a book called the Growth Engine Handbook. Growth Engine Handbook is like the name suggests, it's not a book, it's a handbook where we have right from understanding a company through lean canvas to understanding a customer, buyer persona, buyer's journey. How do you create content for these people in each of these buyer segments and the journey that they're taking till they reach and make a purchase or like complete a goal that you have set for your company, right? So this is the framework that we are using for the apprenticeship also. So what we do is we take an apprenticeship, we give them so right now we have 5 different groups working on 5 different brands. So the goal is to grow these brands in the next 2 months time frame, following the framework that's given in the growth engine handbook. So it's a win-win for everyone involved because people with no or lesser skill compared to professionals working in the growth field. They get to work on real world brands. They get to read the book or the handbook and then apply it in real time and see how it's progressing. So that's one. And the second thing is for the brand's perspective, it's they can also test it out with a minimal commercial intent over there, right? So one thing that has come as a surprise, or which we didn't really envision, was these brands now want to continue with their apprenticeship after this 2 months also. So now that's a good thing. So in the second batch onwards, that'll be very clear for people even when they join us. Okay. So that's about Mad About Growth. So we learn through research papers, through the books, whatever we get our hands on, and then we practice by building the brands, right? And podcast comes in as a way we can interact with the industry and academicians. So in the future events, we have like professors from MICA coming in and talking about the research that they're doing in terms of marketing and stuff like that. All right. So that's about Mad About Growth as a community. Now, with that, I'm gonna quickly introduce or set the tone for why we are all here. So we are here today because we have Chaitanya with us. Chaitanya, his bio is he started working on his side projects and building WordPress websites at the age of 17, part of the crazy startup called Crazy Heads. And when he was 19 years old, he tried everything right from brand development to sales to building stuff and marketing, which accelerated his journey towards a full-fledged marketing career. By 2015, Crazy Heads was India's fastest emerging digital media startup. Back when SaaS industry for the last 4 years, and he has launched products and helps companies scale growth and revenue using cost-effective and lean methods in Southeast Asia, Africa, and North America. So currently, he's the head of growth at AppNox, a leading mobile security startup across India and Singapore. And over the last 1 year, he has been able to increase the monthly recurring revenue from 16K USD to 67K USD. All right. That's a pretty impressive bio for someone as young as you, I would say. So
Not pretty much, yeah, but yeah.
sorry?
Yeah, not pretty much is not interesting as like what you think, but yeah, it's a kind of a compliment. I would take it. Yeah.
Okay, great.
So first, let me congratulate on what you're doing on Mad of Growth, right? So I've been looking at things like Growth Tribe, Product School,
Mm,
and other things which people talk in the US in the SaaS industry, right?
right.
So they follow these lean methods where they take things from the research papers and apply into the actual thing. One of the things I can talk about is, so when you think about marketing, people talk about general way of looking at ads and all of things. But when you actually think and apply methods from the research, they talk about user psychology, the dopamine effect, like why you have the notifications button on
Right.
Instagram with bumble the things, right? So that is what you get when you study the deep methods. I mean, if you're bringing that kind of things to the Indian ecosystem, I mean, it's pretty much interesting for everyone who's looking at a marketing space.
Lovely. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, man. I mean, we are trying, right? Like we just
Yeah.
started, and people like you, when you can suggest, like if you come across a cutting edge research paper and that you have used, and you're like, hey guys, just check this out, right? That'll
Hmm.
help a lot as well. And like we said, it's a community, so we want to grow these skills, right, in people. And
Hmm.
especially given the fact that India is going through this, not just India, internationally, we are going through this deep recession that no one has foreseen.
Yeah.
And it becomes even more pertinent for people to improve their skills
Hmm.
and create a personal brand as well while they're improving their skill, right?
Hmm.
That's
Yep.
one thing that's also kind of cohesively putting us together into this space and like, okay, let's learn and let's try to build a brand, and
Hmm.
in that process build a personal brand as well,
Hmm.
right?
Okay.
Okay, so one thing that really caught my mind was when you said, you help companies scale in terms of revenue using cost effective means, but
Hmm.
across Southeast Asia and then Africa and then North America. Okay. Now,
Yeah.
it's like length and breadth of the world that you've covered essentially. So,
Yes.
have you seen any cultural differences in terms of the ad copies that you're generating when you're doing something for Africa and when you're doing something for Southeast Asia and North
Uh,
America?
yeah, a lot. But before let's talk about ad copies,
Hmm,
let's talk about a user perspective of buying a product and
right.
how would he look at a product or a service, right?
Okay.
So when you look at Southeast Asia, the one thing which he would look at is uh, Southeast Asia is filled with financial banking kind of companies.
Hmm,
They would look at security. They would look at what features would cut down my costs, what features would increase my revenue,
hmm,
uh, how am I different from two biggies of the world? Like, say, he's competing with Apples of the world to HCLs.
hmm.
If you're a new startup, like, how am I different from this?
Okay.
So that is what Southeast Asia talks about. When you look at Africa, they talk about the scale. How
Hmm,
can I grow from 10x to 25x? How would this particular user or a particular feature could help me get there?
right.
Because Africa is limited in terms of the how the world sees it, but it's doing great in terms of the research and
Hmm,
the kind of, so there are $1 billion startups coming up from there, like
right.
on many terms in terms of payment gateways and all of that.
Hmm,
North America, it's all the Silicon Valley and all of that, but it's all omniculture. Like there are people who look at multiple things from cultural fit and also adaptation. So one thing which acts as a blocker for you in North America is if you can't have someone who can understand the local culture.
right.
For example, there are many companies who say that, hey, I can't work with you if you don't have an in-house guy in the Silicon Valley, because they want to have someone so that they can have a trust factor.
Hmm.
So this is what you need to think when you're approaching your marketing strategy, and then comes your ad copies, relevance,
Hmm.
and how you write your ad pages and other things and stuff.
Right. Okay. Great. Uh, that's actually a good point. Okay. So now, um, is it because that Southeast Asia is mostly fintech related startups that
Mhm.
AppNox launched over there? Like, can you tell us the journey with respect to AppNox? How did you join them, and the story from there?
Yeah, so we ideally want try to launch in India, and we failed drastically. One of our first companies was Paytm, which we wanted to work with, and if you see that the pricing which they wanted to pay is less than an Apple mouse now.
Okay.
But if you look at a Singapore-based company where they're really focused on security and they're really focused on what ROI you bring in, how can they save workforce costs? And then we thought that's the right place. And how I joined AppNox is one of the co-founders is a good friend of mine.
Okay.
Eventually, AppNox is my first client when I'm working with Crazy Heads.
Oh, okay.
I mean, we have a relation building up and all of that. And one of the co-founder was leaving, and they want some marketing guy like who can join in and pull the plug right away, like without who just knows industry and who knows what to do and what not to do. And that is how the journey started.
Okay. Okay. Great. So when you joined them, you said they were around 16K MRR.
Yeah, 16K MRR.
Okay. So then, what was your first 1 month like when you joined them?
I can give this as a tip whenever you join any SaaS company. Just start off with your understanding your competitive space. Consider two guys or three guys. One could be where you can compete with. One could be where you can't afford to compete with. And other could be in the median.
Okay.
This is my first thing which I did.
Okay.
So I did figure out who are my competitors, what are the features which they are offering, what are the features which we are not offering.
Okay.
What are their marketing budgets like? Spent my time talking to Gartner analysts, G2 research analysts. So this is my first 45 days to 2 months. So then we figured out these are the things which you can do. These are the things which we can't do. This is where we have money to do it. And this is where we can't take a risk because of so and so factors. Then we put up a plan that these are the early pointers which we can think. If we do it now, this can grow. One of them was search.
Okay.
Even when we are at 16K MRR, we're clocking about 10 to 15,000 hits per month. But what was doing wrong was they're not relevant traffic. I mean, people who are looking for a free solution, people who are like, cybersecurity is a vague domain. Like, even a college student who wanted to do their research project can land on the website if he's searching for relevant keyword.
Okay.
So we wanted to pivot that user persona to a level where SMEs and enterprises find about AppNox. So this is where the pivot happened.
Okay.
And then we identified what are the breakpoints, like what are the keywords which were ranking. So there's a thing in search, right? So unless you, it's easy to crack and it's also very hard to crack. Unless you understand the user in the right way and you have all your check marks like technical SEO and A, B, C, and D right, and you can't get there, you can't be found. And you need to understand how a user would search. For example, I'm a marketer, I might search best security tools, but if I'm selling to a CISO, he might not search for the best security tool. He might search for how can I reduce my security cost. So you need to figure that out. So that is what we figured out. And then we used our existing efforts to build a top layer on top of what we wanted to. So let's say we're ranking for a keyword called as vulnerability assessment. Then we use that keyword as a base keyword and then go with the next level of additional layer of search improvisation. So that is what drove the search to relevant audience.
Right. Okay, great. So now you started with competitor analysis, like what, and you also talked a little bit about Gartner analysts you spoke to. Can you expand a little bit on like what kind of tools that you used and the process that you followed?
So competitor analysis is simple. Don't dig into it. You just search for some Google Sheet templates and figure out. So to break it into summarize into simple thing, understand what are the go to all the review sites,
Okay.
figure out the negative reviews of your competitors,
Right.
and now figure out if you have any feature or any particular USP
Ah,
which can overcome these,
right. Okay. Which you already have, or you're planning to then build?
which we already have, but
Okay.
we don't know is
Hmm.
it right to market those or we need to market the whole suite.
Right. 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 Okay. Hmm.
So that is when we understood, hey, these are the big guys
Okay.
and they're having issues. And
Hmm.
there are a lot of people who can't afford because the starting cost of the suit which we're competing starts at like $2 to $3 million per year. That's a huge, and they're having these kind of issues.
Right.
And if Appnox wanted to compete with those kind of guys, we need to be edge on edge. Like you need
Right.
to tell that, hey, this guys is having that.
Hmm.
This is where Appnox can help you as a startup.
Right. Nice. So when you say app review sites, you're talking about like
It's
G2
not about app. It's all about look at software suggest.
software suggest G2
Go
Graph.
look at Gartner. Look at G2. Also look for keywords like cons of a particular tool.
Hmm.
Look for controversies of a particular tool. Bad reviews. Like use all your keywords.
Very nice. So that was my next question, which is, so when you say you did keyword optimization, so it, so probably it was like broad match, and then like you kind of brought it down to like phrase matches, and then like exact match, like that
Yeah.
level? Okay.
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
it also involves multiple things, right? And also, you need to, I mean, actually, the movement marketing comes in every stage of marketing. It's
Okay.
not a particular thing. For me, the most successful campaigns which I did is everything on movement marketing.
Okay,
I
great.
mean, I can take like more than 100 examples.
Okay, great. Let's talk about that. So let's try to define moment marketing. Okay.
Yeah.
And as far as you're concerned, what is moment marketing? And then tell us about the top three things that you did with respect to moment marketing within AppNox. Huh.
Okay. So, movement marketing for me in the B2B space, no one would buy or look at a particular product unless you build a connection trigger.
Right.
So that is where my movement marketing starts.
Okay.
And user social influence.
Huh.
So one of the things, I'll take an example which I did today.
Okay.
Uh, so I was looking at my LinkedIn feed. So there's this G2 analyst which I follow.
Hmm.
He was looking, I was writing a post on which says, in the last 15 days, there is 20% increase on no code platforms and how much they're spending on security.
Hmm.
So what gives me is I need to talk about something on no code platforms and how they can improve the security now
Hmm.
and do an outreach plan.
Very nice. Hmm.
So other one is, the Arogya Setu thing.
Hmm.
I mean, it's kind of haywire on a lot of things and all of that. So we took that and we challenged the hacker saying that Arogya Setu is safe. Intentionally it is safe,
Hmm.
but what he's claiming is just for the social stigma, like getting the followers and all of that.
Who that Elliot Allen?
Yeah, yeah. And we had a fight with him when he did the same thing when Aadhaar got breached, and like we had that kind of, we eventually like get in fights with him.
Okay.
So that is when we told that, hey, this is safe, because we wrote a long blog post saying that this is why Aarogya Setu is safe. Whatever you're claiming is false because of these and these reasons.
Hmm.
And whatever you're talking is the functionality of the app, not a security clause.
Nice. Hmm.
So this is the movement marketing.
Okay.
You can influence a particular situation